everyone. Welcome to another episode of Chicken Chat. Today, we are talking about a topic that comes up quite often. We see it a lot in social media comments and we see it a lot in our YouTube comments, and it's tips for running your own farm business. How do you sell your farm fresh eggs, and how can I go about doing that? Well, I sell mine kind of on occasion. So I don't regularly sell the eggs, but if we have extra, we do sell to our friends and family and neighbors. Now, Megan over here is our expert in selling farm fresh eggs. So I have Megan here with me today. Welcome, Megan.
Hello, Jess. How are you?
I'm good. And you?
Good, good.
Awesome. Well, I hope you don't mind. We're going to talk all things eggs today and selling the eggs.
I'm in. I am ready. I'm excited, and it's what we do here. So, yeah,
Awesome.
it's good. It's great.
So before we even get started on the questions, can you talk a little bit about some of the breeds that you have that are consistent layers to go with your egg business?
Okay, consistent layers. So, one huge thing about our egg business is the rainbow eggs. Like, it's amazing that people want those rainbow eggs, and that's kind of my specialty, especially compared to other sellers around here. So
Mhm.
my top layers, consistent size, are my green queens, because it's
Nice.
the colors, and it actually, I need the color layers, and they are my top consistent layers. Now, of course, my white leghorns, they're good, solid, and they're white layers, and it's always good to have a white in with your color because it makes your color pop, just FYI. But definitely my green queens would
That's
be
great.
my number one. So
Such a great breed. And some of the other layers we hear a lot about, especially with people that are selling eggs, the golden buffs. I hear about those a lot. The
yes,
white leghorns, Easter eggers, the golden
even
are
black sex links.
yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. So there's a lot of options out there if you're going to be looking to have eggs.
Production layers. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. So
Yeah.
what got you into selling your farm fresh eggs?
Um, chicken math. Seriously. I wanted chickens. We had a garden, wanted chickens. We got chickens, and I wanted more chickens, and I wanted this breed of chickens, and I wanted this breed of chickens. And then you start getting eggs.
Yeah.
And then that's when I really fell in love. And I know that's so weird, but it's the eggs that I almost love the eggs more than I love the chickens. I mean, I love the chickens because they're my chickens, but
Right.
it's the process and how amazing it is that this chicken gave you this egg. And I don't know why that has always just been so cool with me, but getting the eggs and then seeing the colors is just
Yeah.
like, okay, this is what I want to do. Now I want to share the love. And so that's a lot of what I do. We really, and I know my hatchery, we have the meal maker. And
Yeah.
I feel like when I read that, I was like, me, this is me. This is what I love to do. Because sometimes my husband's like, sell the eggs. Don't give the eggs. You have to sell the eggs if you want
Okay.
to continue doing this. Because I do. I love to say, look at this pretty little color palette and
Right.
share it. And so yeah, sometimes I do have a hard time charging, but then again, it's a business. So
Right. Exactly.
yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that's what got us into was the Meyer meal maker. We got
Uh-huh.
a white leghorn was our first Meyer meal maker, and I loved the explanation of the Meyer meal maker. And I was like,
Yes.
I want to share the eggs, just like what you said. And then people started offering me money for the eggs, and I was like, oh,
That
I
makes
can
sense.
charge for these instead of. And we do a lot of kind of like we have a good mix. Like we sell
Mm.
when we have
Yeah.
extra, but we
Yeah.
also really like to donate as well. Like to me,
Yes.
it's just
Yeah.
like it's so much pride goes into that
Yes.
dozen eggs when you can give it to somebody. And we
Yeah.
always joke like the first one's free, and then
Yes. We do that too. That's funny. You always get the first free dozen. Yeah, we do
right,
that too.
exactly,
Yeah, that's
exactly.
cool. Well, and I think and I know that you're a crafter, and so I'll add this, is that, when you make something from scratch, or when you're giving a gift and it's like, I didn't go buy this for you, I made this for you. I really feel like chickens and eggs, it's very, very similar in my mind. Like,
Mhm.
I've worked hard with this animal husbandry, cultivating on this farm, and
Right.
we have these wonderful happy hens, and I want to share the fruits of this labor. And so
Right.
I think it's along the same lines of just giving that gift, that I didn't go out and buy this for you. You know what I mean? I worked hard
Right.
for this. It's not just a free gift. I've put my love into it, and now I want to share it with you.
Absolutely.
So yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Very
that's
special.
fun. Yeah.
So before someone thinks about selling their farm fresh eggs, let's talk a little bit about following state and city laws. So, is there anything special in Texas that you need to remember when selling
So
eggs?
yes, and one thing that is like so super hard for me, and I don't know how Ohio is. I know that a lot of other states have this. You can't put fresh anywhere on the carton. Is yours similar to
Interesting.
that, or do you?
Uh, I'm not sure actually for Ohio. I actually haven't heard that you can't say that. That's
So
interesting.
you can't put farm fresh eggs. So like on my cartons, it's free range,
Mhm.
collected daily as something I put on my cartons, and then the state requires it to be refrigerated. So they have to
Yes.
be washed. They have to be refrigerated. Even when I go from like home to the farmer's market, it has to be refrigerated everywhere. So once
Right.
it's washed, it's refrigerated, and it has to stay refrigerated. And then it has to be labeled on
Mhm.
my cartons that where the eggs came from. So my address, where the farm's address is, excuse me. And those are the main three things. There are, you can go into depth about selling to restaurants or selling to, being the middleman is where it gets dicey. So if I can sell it directly from me, directly from my farm, is when it's a little simpler and there's a lot less regulations.
Right.
So, but every state is different, and
Mhm.
every state has their own rules and regulations. So that is my first suggestion, is look into your state. And then if you're in Texas, don't trust me, go read the laws yourself. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Even if the translation, or you might be a little more stickler, a little more loose, and it just
Right.
we have a really good little community around us, and we have
Mhm.
regular customers. And I think once you get into the regular customers, um, things get a little easier, and you can,
Right.
you're not supposed to reuse cartons. But a lot of my regular customers, um, are okay with it. Just it's where you sell it, and it's how you sell it, in your clientele. So,
Right.
but I will say, always follow state laws,
Right.
because it is from state to state. So check
Right.
into those 100%.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I know
Yeah.
about the refrigeration and labeling, and we put the date when the eggs were laid, give a little range of a couple days. So
So
it's
is that,
full transparency, I guess, because
yeah,
everything's on that carton there.
yeah,
And some of it is required and some of it isn't. It's more of me taking a little bit of an extra step
yeah, yeah,
on some of those things. So yeah, definitely check your state. The other thing is check your city laws for advertising. I think
yes,
that's important
yeah,
too.
yeah,
When I first got into selling, it was very easy for us because where our farm is, they're a little more lax. It's a township, so you don't have as many
okay,
rules. But if you looked at some of the local municipalities, you can't have a certain sign up, and you can't sell on your property, or
yeah,
there's a lot of rules. So definitely check those rules, check them
yeah,
again, check them one more time
yeah,
before
yeah.
you get started on selling.
And us personally, we rely on Facebook, is our
Mhm.
main, um, advertising marketing. I'll say, hey, I have
Right,
a couple extra dozen, and they're gone.
right.
But we're very blessed with our local church community, local community, to have that regular the regular. And here's a great tip for those of you getting into the business. It's not always regular. So I might say we have regulars, and I will have regulars who get 3 dozen every week or every other week, and then they're gone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you might think of that when you're, growing your flock. One thing, we are a farm.
Mhm.
I do have lots of animals, actually. So we consistently have pigs, and we consistently have, the goats and the dogs and everybody gets eggs.
Yeah.
So even the chickens, if I have extra eggs, the chickens get extra eggs.
Right.
We feed them feed that back to them. And like you said, you have a date on there.
Mhm.
Normally, if my eggs have been collected, if I collected them in the last week, then I start not throwing them away, but giving them to animals, like
Right.
feeding animals. So most of mine, if you get something from me, it has been laid within the week.
Right.
And I've had some people kind of go, "Oh, a week?" And you're like, "Let me explain to you when you get them from the grocery, how
Right.
long they've been sitting there." And then they're like,
Absolutely. Yep.
"Oh, that's horrible." And I'm like,
Yeah.
"I agree."
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
My favorite is when somebody tells me, "I cracked open the egg and the yolk stood up and the whites of the egg did not run." And I'm like, "Yes, because they didn't sit for 30 days before you
Right?
got a
How
chance to
healthy
enjoy
it
them."
is. I know. Or the
Yeah.
color, when they're like, "Whoa." And
Yeah.
you get a lot of, especially when you gift sometimes they'll send
Yeah.
you where they've cracked their old eggs and they crack
Right.
your eggs. And
Yeah.
I feel like I get tagged more on a picture like that
Right.
of the comparison of, look at this egg and look at this farm egg and how
Right.
beautiful and rich and yellow and golden. And it's just, anyway, it's neat that's a whole nother thing. When
Yeah.
people experience the freshness, you're like,
Right.
yes. And
Yeah.
more than likely, your wonderful customers, the best customers you have, will get chickens.
Oh,
They'll get
yeah.
chickens and
Oh,
they'll
yes.
start their own little journey, which is
That's
really, I mean, and I know us personally, it
right.
started out with eggs, and then, I want a certain breed, and so I had hatching eggs and I sold hatching eggs. And then I was
Right.
like, some of the extra hatching eggs, and I'm like, that made really good money.
Yeah.
And then you have these people who have bought the eggs who are like, I want to start my own flock. Do you have any chickens I can buy? Whether it's baby chicks or, full grown chicks, laying chickens, that is even more money. So, I mean, you
Right.
can make it as big or as little as you want. You can only
Yeah.
focus on what you have laying in your extra, or you can go into the hatching eggs, the started pullets, which I don't know if you've ever, all those people who have brooded chicks, the started pullets. Oh my gosh, how easy it is just to add them in. And so I've had quite a bit of customers go from eggs to chicken tenders. So
Right. That's
yeah,
awesome. I
yeah,
love that.
it's
We're
growth.
sharing that inspiration, which I think is really
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
Um, so all right, so we talked about we got to check our state laws, we got to check our city
Yes.
laws. We just touch really quick if depending on your state, taxes and
Oh,
record keeping is really important to do as well.
yes, I'm so glad you brought that up. Okay, so through the years, we have figured out when you are, going through taxes, and I will say this to the best of my knowledge because I'll be honest with you, my husband is my tax man. But knowing what they want, like
Mhm.
once you file taxes on a farm and they say how much did you spend on feed, the way that they break it down, like the different topics, and then you keep your records of what they want. So,
Right.
like
Right.
it's so easy for us to have this one receipt where, well, this one receipt might have supplies on it and feed, and you know what I mean? Like you get multiple things when you run to the store,
Right.
but keeping those things separate. And we try to do it once a month where we sit down, get everything out and put it in. But really keeping your receipts and
Mhm.
knowing that everything that you do can go on your taxes, whether
Yeah.
you're running to the store, running to deliver eggs, getting the gas to do that. And we have a specific farm truck. So with farm truck with farm tags, and we use that here. We use that. I mean, that is our farm truck. And so keeping tabs on that. It, and we did it a couple of years without being specific like that. And when we knew what they were wanting for 1 year, and then we really, really kept up on the receipts, on the gas, on the deliveries, on really keeping notes. Who did I sell to? How much did I sell each chicken for? What was my loss? Because you want to calculate, okay, well, this chicken was this, X age, and we spent X amount of food on this chicken. Just make sure you have a blanket and numbers for that. What did we lose? Anyway, so keeping those records and being able to put those in at the end was really beneficial. Like that's really where you could see, number one, where you're lacking in, what you're doing wrong, where you can improve, but also we ended up, the return on that was way better than anything that we have ever had.
Right.
And, thinking that, that $10 isn't going to matter. Well, once you do it 20 times, then it really matters.
Right.
So,
Exactly. So it's
record keeping.
exactly. It's important to be organized. And again, every situation is different. Every state is different. But it is important as chicken keepers. Being organized is important, even though sometimes it's like chicken math takes over. Sometimes you got to sit back and you got to go, okay, let's take a look at our notes here and let's go through everything. And keeping a egg log. We do that. Like even going to that. And we'll leave a link in the description below. We have an egg log download that you can download and use that on your farm. Just doing little things like that are just going to help you stay organized, especially if you're planning to grow into a farm business.
And the bigger you get, you have the chickens that get lost in the fray. And if you're keeping those logs and you know who you have, how old they are, you can see a drop in egg production and then go, oh, wait, hold on, what's going on? Do a check, make sure it keeps you on top of their health as well when you keep those records. So especially the bigger that you get, like I can name 60 something chickens. I have about 80. And that's the ones that look all just alike, but it's knowing your chickens, knowing where it comes from. And not everyone's like that. We have friends who actually are in the egg business as well, and they are straight production. So all of theirs are golden buffs, and all of them are production, and they're very way more, how do I like, they do fabulous. They're on a bigger scale, and their records need to be even more meticulous than ours versus, anyway, it's what you're doing, where you are, what works for you, your state, your city. It's so, don't ever compare to other people. You can get help, you can get ideas, but always remember that what works for you, what's the size of your farm? Are you wanting to make it a business? Are you wanting to just share the love? Anyway, just all the things.
Absolutely. So do your research, and it's not just do your research before you get started. And within the research, pricing your eggs. Everybody is going to be a little bit different. Even with me, where I live, and going to the different counties, and even up the road, all the different prices when it comes to pricing eggs. And for us, we try to calculate based on feed, based on the cost of the feed. That's how we calculate. But sometimes it can be kind of tricky, and it can be, we've had a couple times when, well, up the road, they're 50 cents cheaper. And I'll let you talk a little bit about pricing, but for me, my biggest piece of advice is stick to your price. Once you set your price that works for your farm, stick to your price, and don't let anybody say otherwise when it comes to that.
And we had a while where there was so many eggs, and we were like, it's not that the selling went down, it's that
Right.
our egg production was crazy. And we will run sales like, hey, we, buy two and it's $4 versus $5 a dozen, or hey, I have a 18 for, like,
Yeah.
but yes, stick with your prices. So we here, and I hate to even say the price out loud because it is so different from state to
Right.
state. I know, a couple of summers ago we were in Santa Fe and it was $12 a dozen.
Yeah.
I mean, at
Yeah.
the farmer's market, in which that was, organic, and we don't have the organic certification,
Right.
but we want healthy chickens. So
Right.
that's how we advertise. We have healthy, happy chickens. They're free range. We love them. It is not a production farm. It is not you know what I mean?
Right.
And so we sell ours for $5 a dozen. That's
Mhm.
the local going rate. And really,
Right.
there's always going to be someone who's, oh, she sold it for $3 or she sold it for
Mhm.
$4. And you're right. This is what we spend on feed. This is
Right.
how we treat our chickens. Not that anybody else treats their chickens bad. I'm just saying,
Right. Right.
I know my chickens are loved and happy. And so stick with your pricing.
Right.
Do your research
Mhm.
about those around you.
Right.
Because another thing, like I said, we have friends who have a much bigger operation than we do. And
Right.
never by any means do we want to lowball them, or,
Right.
it's still, you want to keep those business ethics. And gosh,
Right.
this little farm community, we all stick together. And so that's what's wonderful. And we try not to, and that's one reason why we do the rainbow eggs and
Yeah.
they do, the just brown fresh eggs. And you just get different clientele.
Yes.
Jess, have you
Yeah.
ever had someone be like, I don't want colored eggs?
Yes. Yes.
Nope, me too.
I don't want green. I don't.
Yes, no
We
green.
actually had somebody that like brought the eggs, because a lot of times we have like a cooler and people will tell us, they'll contact us,
Yeah.
friends or whatever, and they'll say, "Hey, do you have
Grab
some eggs?" And
this.
we'll say, "Yeah," and we'll
Yeah.
put them in the cooler. And oh yeah, we've had to explain that it's okay that the the egg is green, but it has nothing to do with the inside of the
Yeah.
egg at all. And
Oh,
and they're learning. We're part of
yes.
our
We're
thing,
we're in
beyond.
this.
We
Yeah.
are educating, we are
Yeah.
spreading the awesome of being farm
Yeah.
fresh and having those farm fresh eggs. But oh yeah, we've
Yeah.
definitely had that.
We do, my husband works at a college, and so we do a lot with the college ministry and
Yeah.
have college kids around, and that's fun, like, to see their
Yeah.
face, like, is the inside yellow?
Yes,
Yes, it's still
you
yellow
can eat
inside, and it's
it.
so hard to not be like, "Yeah, duh," and you have to say, "Oh, wait, hold on." They don't know any better, and so it's so fun
Exactly.
to even have a lot of those college students they'll come out, and it's like a
Right.
field trip for them. It's so fun just to
Yeah.
come out and, see the farm and see the eggs and see the chickens.
Right.
And even, especially with our farm, we've had a couple opportunities going into schools and showing, hey, look at this egg, the different colors, and oh, you have brown hair and you have blonde hair and you have red hair, and just,
Yeah.
explaining the things through just the education of it. Yes, it's absolutely
Yeah.
fun. But and this is funny because it's my own sister, which we haven't had farmers like this type of farmers. My grandparents were farmers, but they were
Right.
cotton and, just, and my sister was like, can't do your eggs because I know where it comes from of a chicken. And I'm like, well, where do the eggs from the store come from? And she's like, yeah, but they're in a store. And so just that mindset of it's in a store versus,
Yeah.
in which now my sister, she has them on the counter and she doesn't,
Right.
that's no big deal. But even
Right.
at first, she was like, they're not in the fridge. Why
Yeah.
not? And it's just a fun time to
Yeah.
educate. And that's one
Yeah.
reason there's so much. And I think even as a kid, you think of a farmer and you're like, ugh, but
Right.
the amount of knowledge and the amount of wisdom that has just trickled down. Anyway, it has been a fun business, even for that little thing. And it's my
Right.
sister. You would think she
Right.
would, but
Yeah,
Yeah, the
no,
colored
that's
eggs of
funny. We've heard the same thing about the store, which cracks me up. I'm like,
yeah, yeah,
I'm like, it like I'm literally going from the nest box into the you watch okay. So we had to like explain that it's
yes,
okay that they didn't come from the store.
yes.
I would much rather them come from the backyard than than
Well,
at the
and to
store.
show people the process, like, okay,
Yes,
so, this is how we go gather the eggs, especially like when the college kids come out and you go
right,
gather the eggs and you come in, and then here's, like the little good egg thing where you
right,
wash them and
right,
show them that process that
right.
every single one of them is getting touched and examined. And whereas
Exactly.
when you have it in the stores, most of your eggs are going to be mass candled, and we do
Mhm.
that one on one, and it's a person doing it versus a machine. So your
Right.
quality is going to be better than, um, but also like explaining to people. This is another one of my sister's stories, is that she's like, well, um, it had a bump on the shell,
Yes.
or
Yep.
like when there's a little blood spot in the egg, and it's like,
Right.
okay, so and we've actually gotten to the point where we do candle every egg, and if it
Yeah.
has a blood spot, then we just keep it because people
Right.
can get weird about it. But
Right.
you're like, okay, in a major setting like that, they're not going to let one pass that has a calcium deposit on it. They're not going to
Right.
let one pass that has, a blood spot in it. They're not going to let one pass, they go through and throw away all of these eggs that are totally normal,
Right.
totally fine to eat. You just don't see them. And that's,
Mhm.
teaching everybody that that's okay. It's just,
Yeah.
oh, she had a little bit of calcium deposits on there, or, just little things. She might have
Right.
been a little weak that day, just we're upping our calcium, just
Exactly.
all different things that go into play with that, and
Mhm.
just the education and people
Yeah.
learning that it's closer to the ground. You know what I mean? Closer to
Yeah.
the original source. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. I'm all full of egg
Exactly.
puns
Full
today.
of it.
That's one of my favorite things about raising our own eggs is or raising our own chickens and our own eggs is being able to see all the different size eggs. Where we when I we were growing up, it was always the white and they were smooth and they were all the same size. So for me, it's so fun when I find something that's pointed weird or it has a
Yes.
calcium deposit on it on all that kind of cool
The
or
bump.
sometimes you'll get fairy eggs that are like
Yes,
this big and I just think it's super cool. So
it
it
is.
is really
Yeah,
it adds all to the magic of raising chickens and
absolutely.
and having your eggs. So
Yeah.
we talked about, doing your research. We've talked about our pricing. Um, Megan, let's talk about our favorite. We love marketing, right?
Yes.
That's our thing, right? That we love
It
marketing.
is. It is, it is.
So, for you I know you've already mentioned you use Facebook.
Mhm.
We kind of do the same thing. Just do a little call out like, "Hey, we've got some extra eggs. Anybody wants them, come get them." Um, is there any other tips when it comes to marketing that you have for people?
So, your best marketing is your best customer. And so I feel like on my cartons, I have follow the flock, and then I
Mhm.
have our information. And then I'm like, oh, tag me if tag, like I be sure to say that, because
Yeah,
then they're doing the work for you.
right.
And you can reshare, and you can, you get new customers that way. That is making sure your customer service is on point. Like,
Right.
one thing that we do, and this isn't available for everybody, but if we can deliver, we deliver.
Yeah.
Like, that's just kind of something that we do, because we live really far out in the country. Like, I am
Mhm.
15 minutes from anything, and then not
Right.
to mention 30 minutes from a town, to, you know what I mean? Like, just, um, we do deliver whenever we can. That's
Yeah.
just kind of a service that we do, which in turn plays into our marketing.
Right.
I have Facebook. I also have, and again, this is one of those things, check your local rules, regulations. I have a
Mhm.
local business who carries like not always is there eggs in there, but I have a sign
Right.
in there and I'm able to say
Gotcha.
like scan this QR code, call us for fresh not fresh because
Right.
you can't say fresh. Call us for free range chickens, eggs and
Yeah.
um anyway, so and then I have another business that it's like a barter system.
Yeah.
I also have a sign in there. I give her eggs because that
Mhm.
signage is there. Does that make sense?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
switching, like you have the space, you have the, flow of people. Now let
Right.
me utilize that and I'll give you a dozen eggs every couple weeks. And
Yeah.
anyway, so it goes back to what works for you. And then I have
Right.
friends who are solely on Instagram. That's all that
Yeah.
they do. That's all where they sell. And then like
Yeah.
you who have more traffic on your road, we're a dirt
Mhm.
road in the middle of,
Right.
we might have 4 cars that come through on a day, and
Right.
2 of them are ours. So
Yeah.
there's no traffic, there's no flow. And so having
Right.
some like a sign or a what are they, like a little farm fresh
Farm
stand,
stand. Yeah.
it's
Exactly.
not an
Yeah.
option for us. So
Right.
it would be
Yeah.
nice, but it's just not. So
Yeah. So
that's
just
really how
kind of
we do it. Yeah.
researching, and again, goes back to research and knowing your area and,
What
having
works
those
for you.
connections. I have to laugh because you said about bartering eggs. I feel like that's, like, such a thing, like, we've done that so many times, like, traded plants for eggs or
Yes.
like, it's like,
Yes.
"I'll
Yes.
give you 2 dozen eggs," and, "Sure, I'll
Or
give you some tomato plants," or
a
I
sourdough
think that's
loaf.
awesome.
We have
Yes!
friends that
Yeah,
had, yeah, that's what, even for breakfast, that's what I had was sourdough and eggs. And I didn't make the
right.
sourdough bread, but I had a friend who did it and we traded eggs. And
Nice.
it just, yes, finding a community like that is huge too. So it
Absolutely.
helps.
Making
Yeah.
those connections is
Yeah.
really great.
Connections. Yes.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
let's see here. So we've talked about selling our chicken eggs. Um, Selling other breeds is kind of a fun adventure, when it comes to selling eggs.
So no, sorry, I'm gonna flip this immediately. But so what else? You have quail and
Yes,
duck
yes, and
and
chick
chickens.
yes. Yep. Yeah, so I've
Mhm.
done we sell the chicken, like I said, if we can, we do sell
Yeah.
the chicken eggs. The duck eggs have been kind of funny because I kind of hoard my duck eggs. I don't like
Because of your
I don't
baking.
like I like to keep those for baking, but I do have sold them on occasion. If I have a little bit of extra, we added some more ducks, so we've got a little bit more eggs now. But yeah, we have sold those, and with the duck eggs, I just did the research in the area. They typically go for more than the chicken eggs, but they are bigger eggs.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, a lot of people that do baking and things like that
baking.
will,
I know,
yeah,
I know.
they'll want those eggs. And then the quail eggs, again, those are kind of like, I kind of like hoard those
Novel.
too.
Yeah,
They're just so cute. But I have sold some of those as well. Just because I want to give people the experience. Like I've
yeah.
actually done like, well, I don't know what you want to call it, a flight of eggs.
Huh?
Where like here's 4 chicken, here's 4 duck, here's 4 quail.
Oh,
And that's been really fun to do because it gives people a chance to taste all of them,
yeah,
and they're gonna be similar, but they're also different. Like you can
yeah,
tell a duck egg from a chicken egg. I feel like the quail egg, I can't really tell a difference from the quail egg is very similar to chicken to me, but it's so tiny. So
yeah,
that one's just fun to
yeah.
crack open and
So
eat. But
my homeschool mind goes to like, oh, how cool would that be to go through that with your kids and
yes,
explore that? And that's a great
yeah,
idea. Yeah, that's so
absolutely.
cool.
Yep.
Well, we just have just chickens right now.
Yeah.
And we're eventually getting turkeys. And
Mhm.
so that will be, but we have so much right now going on.
Yeah.
I was told just to chill for a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yes, I get it.
Chicken
I
math.
absolutely get
And which
it.
it gets into, duck division, and then we have way too many. So
Right,
yeah,
right,
no, that's cool. I haven't quite got into the, duck or quail eggs, but I do see
right.
it. Um oh, and speaking of see it, on Facebook groups, most
Yeah,
areas have Facebook groups that you can get into, like a poultry group, a local
right.
poultry group, local chicken group, local livestock group. Look for those in your area. And those have been super helpful because you have the random person coming on there and saying, hey, I am needing a egg, I need eggs periodically. I want an egg lady. And,
Right.
most of the time I'm not fast enough because you have people who are like me. Yeah, we have them.
Yeah.
And then,
Right.
so yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. So yeah, just checking out. So really kind of the theme of everything that we've talked about today is to do your research. And Megan, what is your, let's see, what's your favorite, most important tip that you could give somebody that is getting started in selling their farm fresh eggs? Can't say farm fresh. They're fresh
Yeah,
eggs.
not
They're
fresh.
eggs.
Farm
Farm
eggs.
eggs.
Your free
Farm,
range, happy
free
farm.
range.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't, and you say this because if you're getting into a business, you want it to be a business, but
Right.
ours is not, I still have fun. It's
Yeah.
still my favorite thing to do.
Yeah.
It's still like I will be sitting here working and need a break, and I go get eggs, or I go wash eggs, or I go arrange eggs. That's my absolute favorite, to get them out in the
Do
colors
you
and lay them
put them in the
out,
colors in the
rainbow.
cart? Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. But
Yeah.
that's also my marketing brain needing,
Right.
the color organization. Love it.
Yeah.
Make sure you are still loving it, because that pulls out the enjoyment. And, and I guess it depends on your situation. If you're really getting into it for full on production business,
Right.
your only source of income, it is going to get annoying, but you still have to find the joy in it. And still, I spend a little money to get my colored eggs, or I really want to,
Yeah.
and so keep enjoying it. I think that would be my only thing.
Yeah.
And always, gosh, spend time with your chickens.
Yes.
But I know that's for my therapy. And I feel
Yeah.
like a lot in the chicken world, I feel like it is a therapy. And so I think
Yeah.
not losing the side of that,
Yeah.
not forgetting why you got into it. Just like I feel like we both got into it, like the gift, for the love of giving, like
Right.
make sure and
Exactly.
keep that,
Yeah.
um,
Absolutely.
keep that alive, keep that going. So,
Yeah.
but
I love
I
that.
love it. It's
Exactly.
not work. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. That's so funny on the egg carton. See, I can't put two blue eggs together. I have to my eggs are the one where I have to rotate the colors. Everything's
Mhm.
gotta, and I spend way too much time probably organizing the colors in the cartons before they go to somebody, but that's how my brain
Well,
works.
bless my children's heart. So, my kids work a lot with chickens as well. And we
Yeah.
have really, really, they get part of the profit. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
they have shared in the profit and they get a lot of it. And so a lot of times I'm like, hey, will you pack me three dozen? And then
Right.
I'm secretly going,
Yeah.
moving them back. Like that
Yeah.
color wasn't quite where it was supposed to be. And mine's
Right.
a gradient. Like I
Yeah.
don't do a mix. I do
Yeah.
you have the blues that go into the greens, that go into the olives, that go into the speckles, that go into the tan, that go into the cream, that go into the
Yeah.
white. It's got to
Yeah.
be like the
That's
rainbow. Anyway, but also that's my signature. Like
right.
that's how a lot of my customers come back and they're like, oh gosh, it's so pretty, and the way you lay it out, and the way
Mhm.
I open it in the morning and I get so excited. And I've even transitioned from a solid traditional carton to a
Mhm.
clear carton,
Nice.
and people seeing the colors immediately
Right.
has upped my sales even.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So just keeping an open mind is, once I figured out the colors is what the people like from me, is
Yeah.
then cultivate that. So your market,
Exactly.
what are you marketing to? So
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. So at
yeah.
Meyer Hatchery, we have lots of really great egg supplies to help
Oh,
you, whether you're selling your eggs or you're keeping them for yourself. Some of my absolute favorite is our turf nest pads that we have. I love using those. because my eggs are going to stay clean. They're
Clean.
going to be much cleaner, and they're going to be clean from start to finish. So, I really, really like those, and we have a really good selection of egg cartons.
Yes, absolutely. The vintage ones are my
Yes.
favorite,
Yeah.
because I just think they give an extra twist to it. So,
Right.
but speaking of, we have they're all free range. And so
Hmm.
they do get dirty. And so my
Yeah.
favorite is the good egg.
Oh yeah.
The
Yeah. That
clear,
is cool.
yes, I love it.
Yeah.
And which they have the wash, but
Mhm.
it works just as good with just the water
A little
and
bit of water.
the good egg. Yeah, get some good
Yeah.
anyway. So I
That's
agree.
great.
Yes.
Awesome.
And
Well,
and sorry, that's another thing, is realizing that it's not just the eggs. You're not just it's not the end of the story is when you get the
right.
eggs, that you
Yeah.
do need the supplies to help you along, to get it faster, to get it to your customers. So the stickers, yeah,
Yeah.
it's not just chickens and eggs. It's
Yeah.
more that goes into it with the taxes in the states and yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So awesome. Well, Megan, thank you so much for chatting with me today. You shared so much amazing information. I learned a lot that I didn't realize. I'm used to Ohio's laws, so it's really
Right?
interesting to hear other state laws.
Knowing.
And yeah, so, and hopefully we've given all of you some inspiration and answered some of your questions that you've had recently about selling your farm fresh eggs. If you have any other questions, be sure to let us know in the comments
Love it.
below. We'll be happy to answer those questions for you.
Absolutely.
Well, Megan, we've been here a while. I think it's time for us to get
I
out and
know.
collect our eggs.
Yes.
Thank
Stretch
you
our
so
leg.
much for watching.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks, guys.